I'll apologize in advance. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit and kind of show some different things regarding the article I wrote, Enhanced Data for Civil Sites. Now, the first thing I want to do is talk about a basic surface and then talk about the intent that I discussed in the article. Now, every engineer wants their surface to be wonderful, and we all want things to work. So here's a great example. A good, um, uh, solid grading job, simple site, nothing real crazy. Uh, and here's quote what the picture looks like. You'll see the contours here. I've got the PDF underlying so you can see what's going on, and it looks fairly straightforward. And we would bring in, the points and the information to kind of have things make more sense. Here's some additional points, and you'll see how those get kind of correlated here in a moment. But and this was done by one of our engineers, Michael Stallings. Just did a great job on this. But let me just kind of show you what it takes to kind of beat this thing and make it work right. I just turned on the 3D break lines, and this is the information that Michael had to add three-dimensionally to kind of make this thing work and have the grading turn out the way it was supposed to. Now, I'll turn these off for a second and come over here and just show you one more thing. It's right over here at this grade break, and you can see how things are kind of moving. These arrows are showing us exactly what we're supposed to do. And again, we're going to come in and look at break lines and just see all the work that it took to get this thing to perform well, in addition to the contours, some spot elevations, and fixing it. Some great work, and it really shows exactly what you can do when you kind of spend a little bit of extra time and clean things up. Now, the next thing I want to go over while I've got this one drawing open, and I apologize in advance, I'm going to kind of jump around and start and stop the video, so bear with me. But I did a pad blow up on this one. I'll kind of show these surfaces. You'll see my green lines here, and that's the pad blow up that I did. And you'll see the original surface that Michael built is kind of inside. So right here was the corner of the building, and I did a pad blow up. Now, when we do the pad blow up and make the surface, I'll turn that on, and send that to the field, a lot of times you can just do a simple surface and make that larger. But what we like to do, you'll see here, and it's pretty ugly, is we do the pad blow up, and we do that on top of the finished surface of the project. And the reason for that is, let's say somebody wants some of this material, some of this pad material over here at this dumpster pad. Well, if I'm in the field and somebody says, hey, take some of that pad material and put it here. We've got a porous cement pad here, and we want some good stuff there. I don't know where it is. I'd have to pull out the plans. I'd have to remember where it was, and I'd have to also remember that there's another dumpster pad down here. So this way, if I've got the picture on my screen as an operator, I can just take that pad, build it, and then get some stuff over to this area here, and I've satisfied the requirements for getting some stuff that's needed in another area. It's quick, it's simple, it's efficient, and it's just a great way to just enhance the information that the operator has, even doing something as simple as a building pad. Now what I want to do is talk about enhancements that go beyond the basic site, not only in three dimensions, but in two dimensions as well. Let's look at this site again. This is a decent representation of what stuff will look like to get your job done. I can see a building. This is that same site, so it'll kind of appear similar. There's some contours, a couple grade break areas, so we know where the project is going to break. I'll bring the PDF up here so you can see it a little bit. And this is just a little thing you can do here. You take this PDF. This is kind of bright, so I'll just take and drop that transparency to 65%, make it a little bit easier to see. So there's nothing wrong with this to give the field people something to go by and a job to build, but what happens when you start getting better and your field crews improve, they start wanting more information. Now, I'm not suggesting you load up the job like this, but this is an example, and I'll bring utilities into this as well at this time, because this is really a great example. You'll see this blue here highlights the storm information on the project, and what we have here is an underground retention and a lot of pipe work that comes to it, and these are some separators here because there's a restaurant and there's also a swimming pool. So there's a lot of stuff going on that's going to require some specific drainage information that you might not see in other jobs. And this is just great to have. The data collectors can handle this graphic information. The computers in them are robust, so there's not an issue with getting what you need. But look at what you can give to the field and make it so they don't have to refer back to their plans. Now, yes, you're going to turn information on and off to bring things in and out, but we can do everything from provide utilities, water. We can give them, as I talked about in the article, electrical information, so we can do street lamps. There's some hardscape areas, so we can help them with laying out the handicap parking areas, the islands, the striping, and that's going to make the job be sourced from one location, and that location just happens to be the computer that you have in the field, where you don't have to keep referencing plans. Go back to the trailer, check and see what you've got, and come back out again. Feature-rich information is going to do a lot more than just make pretty pictures. As you can see, it really does change the overall complexion of how you're doing things. Now what I'd like to do is talk about offsites and incorporating those into a project. Again, we have a site here that we produced some feature-rich data. Now this client specifically wanted storm. You can see the storm here, and you can see the water over here. They didn't want text necessarily on the storm because they're going to pull that out three-dimensionally, and I'll cover utilities in another presentation. It's just a great thing to do with these projects. And this one happens to be in a pretty wet part of the country, so you'll see there's a lot of water getting moved around here. Pretty large basin. But what I want to focus on now is the entrance to the shopping center. You'll see a decel lane here, and we come in and we leave, and this is a pretty decent sized parkway over here that we have to kind of warp into. Now, let me turn on the PDF and show you what's happening here to give you an idea. Now, this project at this moment in time currently matches the contours that were provided by the engineer, and a lot of people ask, well, gee, shouldn't you wait till you get saw cut line or information, or you know what you've got? The thing is, we need a starting point, and in this case the starting point is the plans as provided. Now we're going to take and look at it when we get information from the field, and you'll see here that the call out says match existing edge of pavement. Well, that is obvious, but the existing edge of pavement, as we found out later, isn't exactly what was happening here. So we now know what it was supposed to look like according to plan. We got information as far as the saw cut line and spots along here. So this line here was now, you'll see the edge of pavement here. We adjusted that edge of pavement line, and then from there we looked at the cross slope of the road because they shot the lanes from the median strip on over, so we knew what we were dealing with. There's also a bicycle lane here, so we've got to watch the cross slope on that and the width. And then we come into here, but most importantly, we've got to make sure that we are in good shape to pick up this riprap, to channel water down here and get into this pretty big retention, because if we don't, there's going to be some problems with either pooling, or it's going to try to take water and put it back onto the street if this changes enough. So we've got a sidewalk to match here. All these things come into play, and we're going to adjust the project, make it work with those saw cut lines that were now measured, and then propose those changes. And the only way we could do that is to show somebody, here's how it looked before, here's the proposed changes, now this is what it will probably look like when everybody's done. It makes good sense to start with what the picture looks like, adjust it with real world conditions, because it makes a stronger and more practical presentation, not only to show how it's going to change as far as paving is concerned, but if there's substantial dirt to be moved, it's also the basis for your change order. Thanks again, and as usual, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout. Thanks.